everyone, today I'll be doing a solo Grandmaster run under 40 power level Glassway with Warlock. For my subclass, I'll be using Shadebinder. Here are the mods and fragments I'll be using in this video. For my kinetic, I'll be using Osteo, Under Your Skin Bow. For my heavy, I'll be using Taipan with Major Spec. All the armor mods I use in this video will be in the description below on my dim loadout. This is gonna be a Stasis turret mini build with high energy fire. This week I decided to go for Warlock, the Stasis turret build. And this is going to be my last 1580 solo run for this season. So finally I was able to solo all the Nightfalls for this season with these skulls. And it was a nightmare. It was suffering because I was forced to put a 1350 gear. And it was bad because I wasn't able to use Lucent Finisher, which was horrible. So I am using Osteo and using Under the Skin Void Bow, which a lot of players wanted me to use it, and yes, I will use it. It is amazing on Void Singe, and I love it. I am using the turret build and using the high energy fire build as well. Now I'll talk more about the firepower and the higher energy later in the boss fight because I was actually having trouble with it. With the other exotic, it was doing testing when I was working on the Glassway solo run. So make sure you take down the Overload champion. I am happy that I didn't fall down to the pit. Now all these shanks are going to be skulls. So they are a little tanky, not as much, and they can do more damage than the regular. And I noticed a difference when I was playing Corrupted on the regular version versus the under 40 power level. Now before passing this platform, there will be a barrier champion. There will be a barrier champion that will spawn if you pass the platform. Now I want to deal with the Overload champion first before making the barrier champion to spawn. I am using a linear fusion rifle, and the reason why was the Overload champions were feeling tanky to the point where I wasn't able to use a sword, and I was trying to, but it wasn't working out. Now it will work out on the regular Grandmaster version I have tested out last season, because last season was Glassway, and I remember I did it on my Titan. So it will guarantee work on the regular version. But for under 40 power level, I would say no, not so much. Why? Because you need Lucent Finisher, because you will always run out of ammo. That's the reason why. Now make sure you spam turrets and abuse it. Alright, so now I am going to be using my linear fusion. I am using Taipan, by the way, if anyone's wondering. And if you have Lucent Finisher, use it, abuse it for this season. Trust me, this season we are being extremely spoiled. There's just a lot of overpowered artifact mods in this season. And I feel like Nightfall is going to be extremely grindy. We'll see how it goes, by the way. Now the reason why I threw a turret there is the Fallens love to throw arc grenades at you. I didn't want that to happen because because there are snipers from the right side which I need to take down with the bow. So that's why I was trying to freeze them and then trying to take down the Overload Champion. But just remember that when you're using Osteo, you have to make sure you take down the Overload Champion fast. And it could take a while getting used to Osteo. They did buff Osteo, by the way. You can stagger the Overload Champions from mid distance, not far distance, but I would say okay distance. But just be super careful with the final boss. That's the only advice I can give you. Sometimes the boss can behave weird where it will start spamming stasis crystals at you. It rarely happens, but sometimes it does. Just back away and then just resume DPSing the Overload Champion. Once you deal with the Overload Champion, you can just do DPS at the boss. So I am using Taipan, and I do want to make sure I take him down quickly so I can spawn the anti-barrier or the baby servitor or the barrier servitor. So I did use my super mainly to clear down the vandals, the drags, or the dregs, because they're the ones that throw a lot of arc grenades. And then the worst part is the barrier can actually tether them, and then they can mess up your DPS with the barrier champion. Then they'll start throwing arc grenades, and then you won't be able to take down the fallen ads because they're immune. Because they are immune, and that's why I highly recommend just use your super on the ads, and then you could throw your turret so you can freeze the barrier champion. Once I went back to grab a couple of ammo, since I don't have Lucent Finisher, unfortunately, in this video, now we're going to be dealing with more Overload Champions. It gets better. Just wait till the boss fight. We're going to deal with more Overload Toxic Champions. So I am going to bait, just make the ad spawn. There will be shanks, snipers, and the boss, or the mini boss, not the final boss, but it likes to shoot arc, and it seems to be a sniper. If you do see the Overload Champion, try your best to take him down, especially if you are using a linear fusion heavy. Now, if you are using the firepower build, then you can just spam turrets, especially staggering the Overload Champion with counter charge. You'll have Charge of Light, and then you can just spam the firepower or the turrets to deal with the Overload Champions and, of course, the boss. There was a sniper, far distance. I was trying to take him down, and then the Overload Champion was teleporting. Sometimes sometimes the Overload Champion's at the top, next to the boss. Then he's near that rock from the left side. You know, there are times where things doesn't work out, like in this video, where I have to just resume taking down the mini boss, and then take down the Overload Champion later. Or if I see him, then I take him down. Now, you're probably wondering why I don't go behind that rock from the far left side. Yeah, you see, that method can be a bit draggy, where you must take down the Overload Champion fast and take down the final boss fast, because he will spam a lot of stasis grenades at you. Basically, does field. And if you're on red health, you can't pull back because the boss will snipe you. Which is why I prefer this area, because I have a place to hide. The snipers can't shoot me. And then the Overload Champion can't shoot me from here unless he was close by, because sometimes he will teleport on this spot. Because Overload Champion wasn't cooperating, as always, I decided to go for Plan B. Plan B was to take down the final boss, or the mini boss. Then I'm going to be dealing with this annoyance, this complicated Overload Champion, because he didn't want to be defeated. And it can be frustrating. So once I take down the snipers, because they can be a mess, you can go and spawn the barrier champion. Make sure you do throw turrets as much as you can so you can freeze the vandals. So if you guys notice here, these vandals love to shoot arc and they will throw grenades at you. Now, if you also notice, the barrier champion was tethering the ads, which is why I highly recommend if you are going for Stasis Warlock, you must clear down the ads with your super and then deal with the barrier last. It seems the easiest and the most less stressful. Everyone is different. Some may say for Void Walker, just take down the champion. Yes, I completely agree with you. Take down the champion when you are using Nova Bomb. Of course. The thing is that the Stasis, it just takes time to deal with the champion, and then the arc and the arc grenades can mess up your DPS. And plus, we don't have Devour. I mean, if you're on Void Walker, you can just spam Devour and then just clear ads, then deal with the champion at the same time. Alright, so this is going to be the area where you can Warlock jump and skip these ads. I didn't do it in this video because, well, I was a little not scared of them, but they had those skulls and it kind of terrified me a bit. So just use your bow and make your way. It's just unbelievable. The electric water fall of death doesn't kill the fallen, yet it kills guardians. Unbelievable. How does it happen? Why do guardians get bad luck? So now I'm gonna try to do a method where I don't spawn the ads, mainly Shanks and not Fallens. Now, I don't think I've done it in this footage, so let me just double check. So I did in this video. Alright, I'm trying to remember because this took me a couple of attempts because I was having trouble with another exotic, Lemonarch, and it was a nightmare on 1580. I'm just being honest, you know, but I was trying to do the method, as you see, to not spawn the Fallens. It's a weird method where you have to jump before the checkpoint. It's really hard to explain, but I'll show it again on my cleaner run. Hopefully I'll get it. A big maybe. It depends of how the anti-barriers are going to behave. By the way, it's not me, it's going to be the Wyverns and then the barrier champions. So on this part, make sure you use a turret just to deal with the champion, and then you can just spam linear. Now you're probably wondering what I'm doing here. I was waiting for my turret so I can throw the Stasis turret to make the turret do its dirty work. Because you know what? All Guardians, all Warlock mains love Stasis turret. I mean, who doesn't like Stasis turret? I mean, they do all your dirty work. They go on spots where you don't want to go, but you make your Stasis turret go there so they can freeze the enemies and you could just abuse it. Benefits of being a Warlock, right? Because Hunter and Titan, they can't make Stasis turret where Warlock can. And if you're using an exotic, even better, you can make 2 and make much more Stasis turrets. So I am going to stagger the Overload champion right away. And if you do have a lot of heavy, just use your heavy, trust me. With Loosen Finisher, just abuse Linear Fusion Rival. Abuse Taipan as much as you can. And the reason why I always say abuse it is because they're going to be nerfing Linear Fusions next season for Lightfall. So if I were you, I would just try to enjoy it before Lightfall. And then we're going to go back to Anarchy, since they're going to be buffing grenade launchers, which is okay for me because finally I got Anarchy. Before I wasn't able to I wasn't able to use Anarchy. And it was frustrating and suffering. And I heard you can get it for free now. I don't know if it's true. This is what I heard. I don't know, but I heard you can go and just get it for free. Alright, so now I'm going to be stepping on the plate. And I'm going to get the hell out of there because now I'm going to be dealing with Shanks. Now, during the fire team, the weirdest thing about this area is when you are capturing the plate, you will spawn snipers. Now, on solo runs, you don't spawn the snipers, and I don't know why. It is extremely rare that on solo runs, which I have tried it years ago, I sometimes, rarely, extremely rare, 1%. It's always 1% every season if someone gets this. You can actually get snipers on your solo runs, but it is 1% out of 99% solo players. Because it has happened to me twice, but it hasn't happened to me this season or last season. Just be aware that you won't get snipers, and if you do, I apologize and I feel extremely sorry for you because it is that 1% that players will get snipers or solo players will get the sniper. If you're wondering what I'm doing right now is I'm just spamming my emotes so I can just see where the ads are. So during this part, around 70% and above will be the explosive shank. Or the exploder shank, I guess that's the name. When you do capture the plate 100%, this is when you're actually going to be dealing with another Overload champion. It just gets better, right? And you're probably thinking, okay, well, it's just fallen Overload champions, no big deal. Well, here's the problem. At the boss fight, it's going to be the Minotaur Overload champions, which are the most buggiest Overload champions in all Destiny franchise. And sometimes when you stagger them, it doesn't work. On specific exotics and weapons, but we'll talk about that later. So make sure you deal with the Overload champion. As I said before, they did buff Osteo. So you can stagger the Overload champion from mid-distance, not far distance, by the way. I was trying to make the boss move. He was being stubborn, this champion. Please cooperate. And now I had to wait because now my Stasis turret, I threw it at the wrong spot, by the way. So my mistake there. I should have thrown it in front of me or a little bit mid-distance, not far away. But yeah, I was trying to see if I can deal with this Overload champion with the turret method, and it wasn't really working out. So I apologize for that. My bad. So now I'm going to make this Overload champion move a little closer to my Guardian because he's a little too far away and I can't really stagger him from far distance. So things like this can happen, especially if you're using a submachine gun. Now, if you're using an exotic Le Monarch, then this wouldn't be any problem or no issue at all. So it's just an example. It's just an example, by the way, if anyone's wondering. Make sure you take down the Overload champion, and once you do, you must spawn more of these snipers, and this is when the Solar Shank will spawn as well. So I was trying to use my super, mainly just to clear a couple of ads. You can also use your super just to deal with the Solar Shank, which maybe I should have done that instead of clearing the ads, but You know, my mistake for that. Probably in a cleaner run I'll do much better. So just be super careful with the Solar Shank, where it can shoot from far distance and it will lead to your death. So because I made a mistake, again, my bad, plan B is to just break the shield and then use my linear. Now when the barrier champion does spawn, there will be snipers from the left and the right. You can also use the under your skin bow just to take down the vandals from far distance. Basically, I was just trying my best to deal with the snipers from far away since they already spawned. It might as well take advantage of it. Now, the Solar Shank, the shield it had the solar shield. I don't have any solar weapons, so I had to do the most boring way where things don't go my way. And then the Solar Shank just falls down. He falls down to electric pole of death, where it can hurt guardians, but not the enemies. It just doesn't make any sense. How is that possible? Why does this always happen to me? I always get baby servitors falling down, and then they float up. And then now having these Solar Shanks falling down, and then they're going to be floating up. Look at that. He's flying up. This is an ultimate troll. He's playing hide and seek on me, guys. I'm telling you, Bungie is controlling the Solar Shank. I feel like I'm being watched right now. Alright, so he's going to be floating from the right side. This is going to be fun. You can also throw turrets so you can make this boss not move, and then you can do more damage. I should have done that, to be honest. I think I was just a bit annoying. I think I was just a bit annoyed that the boss fell down and he was just trolling. Alright, so once we deal with the Solar Shank, then everything will be safe. You just have to make sure you take down the snipers, which will be your worst enemy, which would be the most dangerous ads for this area. Now, one thing I noticed is the snipers like to be on the left, right, or they stand in the middle on the top cliff. So mainly, I did took down as much snipers as I can, and then I will be dealing with the barrier champion. Just remember that the more ads you take, the snipers will jump down. So I did saw the snipers, they did jump down. So I did thought it'd be a good idea to take down a couple of vandals and then try my best to freeze the barrier champion so I can deal with the boss, with the mini boss, and then just make my way to the final boss. Wouldn't that be fun? So the barrier champion was next to a sniper, I'm assuming, or a vandal. So just be aware that the servitor sometimes has a mind of his own. I wouldn't trust this servitor so much. So he was frozen, so I decided to use my linear. So just be super careful with this mini servitor, and then hopefully we'll be able to go to the final boss, which is going to be fantastic. So I did saw heavy there, and I was being greedy because I needed heavy. See, if I had a loosened finisher, I wouldn't jump to the electric pole of death. Alright? I would have just used my finisher and then just be on my way. Or I could just use finisher at this overload champion up ahead instead of sacrificing my health to the pit of electric water. So this is the area of the boss fight. There's going to be a couple of drags and then the overload champion. When you do take down the overload champion, you will spawn the boss. It's mainly a Hydra and then a cute, adorable baby Hydra. So adorable that you have to babysit it. And I'm not even joking, no over-exaggerating. You actually need to babysit a little mini Hydra while the boss is moving like a psychopath shooting void. And then let's not forget, there's gonna be 16 champions and 8 Wyverns. And this is why everyone hates this Nightfall so much. So everyone has their own method. For me, for Hunter, for Titan, for Warlock, I just like staying on this area. Now there are ways to get more DPS, especially at the right side to the stairs. But I don't really care so much of that. Mainly, I just want to survive. Because now we have to deal with Overload Champions. Now the Overload Champion is going to spawn. It's going to walk either from the far left, middle, or the right. Now sometimes the second Overload Champion will be walking from the door from the right side in front of me. Sometimes he doesn't walk there, so then they walk from the far left side, which is what happened over here. So when this happens, make sure you take down the Overload Champion right away. I was just spamming linear, and so far it was going quite well. Now just remember, if the Overload Champion is too close to you, you must use your melee. And then just throw your turret. Now be aware that the Overload Champion can actually kill your turret. Now I don't know if they do that on regular Grandmasters, but on a 1580, it actually killed my Stasis turret. So make sure you throw the Stasis turret at the right spot, not too close to the Overload Champion where it can shoot Void at it. So once we took down the Overload Champions, now we actually need to deal with the mini Hydra. The cute, adorable, dangerous, lovable, adorable Hydra we need to babysit. So be aware that this boss, this mini Hydra, likes to shoot arc. And he likes to follow you. He wants attention. You know, you have to keep this Hydra distracted. Especially dealing with the barrier champions, but not at this phase. This is the first phase, by the way. Now, if you do want to spawn the 2 Overload Champions, you must do 1 bar of the boss, well, of the Hydra. And yes, this is going to be a big problem because you're going to have 2 Overload Champions walking around looking for you. You're going to play cat and mouse. And then this baby Hydra is going to want attention from you. So you have to distract this Hydra to try not to get near you. And at the same time, you need to take down the 2 Overload Champions. So one thing I noticed is the Stasis turret can actually freeze this mini Hydra for a while. Not 100%, but it does keep it distracted of following you. So now we're going to be dealing with 2 Overload Champions and more Hobgoblins or Goblins. This is when the Overload Champion will spawn from the middle, or from the right side, or from the far left. That's why I put the Stasis on that spot, just in case it does spawn from the far left side, which I was correct. So this is times where the Overload Champion will spawn, will try to walk from the left side. When you do see the Overload Champion, take him down quickly. And then if the Overload Champion is not the far right side, the second one, then it's going to be in the middle. Or both of them is going to be in the middle door. So make sure you put the Stasis turret a little close, not too close, so you can just spam linear and then use your finisher. And of course, highly recommend put on loosen finisher, so you'll have enough heavy. You don't have to worry and panic about the Wyverns, panic about the Overload Champions, because guess what, in this video I was panicking because guess what, I only have 3 heavy. This is the punishment of not using loosen finisher in this video. But here's the thing, I couldn't use it. The 1350 class gear didn't have an additional mod. And now someone can argue and say, well, Blitz, why didn't you just put loosen finisher and an artifact mod to stagger Stasis turrets? Well, I needed solo operator to do 15% more damage. So basically, I couldn't do it. I wasn't able to put the loosen finisher. It was impossible unless I was using my regular class item. So now I'm going to do a many time skip here. I'm going to do DPS at the boss until we're going to spawn a Wyverns. So now we're going to be suffering the deadly Wyverns, or I like to call them the Peacock Vex, where you must throw your stasis and then throw another one just in case one sneaks up on you. Now these Wyverns can kill your stasis turret, so make sure you don't put the stasis turret too close to the Wyvern because its void will kill it. Now on the regular version, I'm not 100% sure because I have not tested out at all, but I will today once I do go back. Now I did use my saber here because the Wyverns sneak up on me and I panic. So when things happen like that where Wyverns are RNG, they behave completely different in every run, by the way. Make sure you use your saber so that way you won't get one shot from the void attack. Now I don't know how much damage it does on the regular Grandmaster, so I'm assuming 2 shots, but on the skull it was pretty much 1 shot done, and then I had to go back to orbit and then just put the controller down and then just think about sad thoughts, which I don't want to do because that'll make me more sad. Now you're probably wondering what I'm doing here. So this is actually the best time to deal with the barrier champions. Now I try to keep the mini Hydra distracted since it likes to have attention, and you basically need to babysit the Hydra. Try your best to not let the Hydra see you and deal with the overload champions. Well, the barrier champions, sorry about that. Now one thing I noticed is if I throw stasis at the Hydra, then the Hydra will get distracted by the stasis turret and then he won't follow me. Which I was pretty happy. I didn't know it can do that. But I would say just take advantage of it. If the Hydra is bothering you, just use the stasis turret. Try to make it move away from your spot. Dealing with the barrier champions, use the turret and then just make your way dealing with the barrier champions. I was just double checking here because sometimes the Hydra can sneak up on you wanting attention from you. So just try your best to spam heavy, and if you have loosen finisher, then use it. Use your loosen finisher at the last barrier champion. I don't recommend using the first and the second one unless the first barrier champion is by itself. Then use it, because the problem is these snipers they snipe. These barrier champions, they snipe, they take a lot of damage, so they can 2-shot you. Which before in the old Glassway, they 1-shot you. So I guess they nerfed it a bit. So now we deal with 2 of the barrier champions, and we do need to spawn 2 more of the Wyverns. So this is the perfect time to deal with the harpies, and then you gotta babysit the baby Hydra for a while, which it's not a fun experience. So now I'm just trying to move this Hydra because it wants attention all the time. Babysitting. I really need to get paid for this, honestly. But just if you're using Le Monarch, then you could just use Le Monarch because you don't need to wait for the shield to do DPS. You can also use Osteo, but the problem is you have to wait until you see an opening from the shield, from the white shield. And it can be a little drag, so this may take a while. So I got impatient, so I used my linear because I just didn't feel like waiting for the shield to have an opening. Say, hello Blitz, DPS time. Oh, not yet. Not yet, Blitz, on shield. Alright, so now we're going to be dealing with more Wyverns. And I really hate this phase because this is when we gotta deal with a baby Hydra. And I'm trying to see where the Hydra is. and he looks like he's distracted, which doesn't really happen normally. But usually the Wyverns will move up to the middle of the map or from the left side or the right side. Sorry about that. Now the biggest mistake I did here is I threw the Stasis turret way too close. This is not a really good spot because the Wyverns can actually kill your Stasis turret. Now I got extremely lucky here because the void attack wasn't damaging my Stasis turret. It almost did, so I highly recommend just to throw your Stasis turret like around that spot there, the second one from the far right of where the Stasis turret is. That would be probably the best spot. But if you're using firepower, then I guess I would say just abuse it. Abuse it as much as you can, throw it anywhere you please because you'll get it back all the time. But other than that, just be aware that the Wyverns can kill your turret. Now right now I'm just trying to deal with the Wyvern because the Wyvern actually was walking away. So make sure and try your best to deal with the Wyverns right away now. Because the problem with the Wyverns is if you leave it alone, he is going to teleport in the tunnel randomly. They behave completely weird. RNG, so if you see them, take them down quickly. That way you don't have to worry about them, especially if you're looking for ammo, heavy ammo, special ammo. You don't want the Wyvern to pop out of nowhere and then one-shot you. Like that, for example. Like a barrier champion teleporting in front of you. So when things like that happen, back away, do DPS as much as you can. Now, I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to do DPS. And I was kind of low on heavy. So what I should have done here is right away use my linear. Because now I have to deal with the Hydra. And then later on, it's going to be another barrier champion. So biggest mistake here. Make sure just spam your heavy if you see a chance of barrier champions teleporting in front of you. But be very careful. And now I probably waste 3 minutes of my life there. Oh well, I was trying to deal with the barrier champion, but there was just too many things going on, guys. I'm just one guardian. Alright, I was just worried because the barrier champion from the left side was in the opening of trying to snipe me. So here I try again. I try again to try to deal with this barrier champion. Alright, and I was low on heavy, so make sure you use your linear fusion. And try not to use your losing finisher at the first barrier champion. Always use it at the second one. Always use it at the second one to be 100% safe. And yeah, this bow is being a little bit awkward. Jesus Christ, I really hate when barrier champions have to critique the critical shot. I really hate it when doing precision shots is in the stomach. So I did put the Stasis turret next to the barrier so I can actually have an easier time dealing with these barrier champions with a bow. And this barrier champion was not cooperating with me. It was being extremely frustrating. His health kept going up and down. If only I put the adaptive mod for this bow, it would have been so much easier. I'm actually debating to do that, by the way, to craft another bow just to see how it works out with the barrier champion. I mean, don't get me wrong, explosive payload's good. It's just that sometimes when you're trying to deal with the barrier champions, they're just annoying. But then again, here's the thing. This is the 1580 run, so I'm not sure how much damage does explosive payload do on the bow, void bow, on the regular GM. Taking my sweet time because he's taking 3 hits. 3 hits to break the shield. Great, this is the best bow ever. The happiest guardian. I just love taking my time dealing with the barrier champions, which is not a good idea, but you know, nothing I can do there. So I was trying to gather some heavy because, well, Here's the problem. We're going to be dealing with overload champions. And you're probably wondering why I was standing there. It's because I was trying to stop recording and then re-record again. Because, you know, this is PlayStation 5. You know, not PC of using OBS Studio. You know, can't do that on this footage. Alright, so now I'm going to be dealing with these harpies. And then we're going to spawn the overload champions. After spending, I will say, 1 minute 30 seconds of my life, and you as well, now we're going to be dealing with overload champions. More champions in the boss fight. Remember, 16 champions. 16! So this is going to be a tough part where you actually need to bait and lure the overload champions in the middle of the door. The reason why is it'll be easier to take down the overload champions, especially using linear. So try your best to spam turrets. If you're using firepower or power, then abuse it. Now make sure you use your linear and spam it. Spam linear as much as you can, because this is going to be where things could be complicated, where you do need to take down the overload champions, or it's going to be frustrating. So I was trying to bait the overload champions to move in the middle of the door. Having the hobgoblins, all the electric Vex to be there so I can have the Stasis turret and just do damage to them. Just clear everything out. So I'm trying to bait the overload champion to go to the door so I can have an easier time spamming linear. That's the reason why I was throwing a lot of turrets from the left and the right side. Because I need to make sure I take down this overload champion efficiently and safe. Now, if I was using a sword, I would bait the overload champion inside the tunnel. That's basically what I would do. Alright, so now since we deal with the overload champions, we gotta do DPS at the boss. Now, the reason why I was going to this spot was, well, I thought maybe it'd be a good idea with Osteo, but it's not. Probably the best method of doing DPS with Osteo is probably from the right side. So I'm going to do a mini time skip here, by the way. So I finally was able to poison the boss, and then now we're going to deal with 2 more overload champions. So I am going to be baiting the overload champions to walk to the middle of the door. And the reason why I do this is just to make it easier to clear all the ads, clear everything. It's just for me easier. Everyone is different, by the way, but for me, I just prefer to lure these overload champions in the middle of the door. That way I don't have to worry of them sneaking on me from the left and right side. So now I'm just trying to throw my Stasis turret, but this overload champion was not cooperating because this goblin was in the way and I was low on heavy. So you can see here that heavy is a big deal for this build and for this Nightfall. So I highly recommend just to have Lucent Finisher, especially dealing with the overload champions. So right now I'm just using linear, just taking them down, and then I need to take down the last overload champion. Thank the Bungie and the Traveler. This is going to be the last overload champion. But unfortunately, we had to deal with 4 more champions, so we're not done yet. You remember, guys, 16 champions at the boss fight. Yes, they thought it would be a good idea. You know what? It's not. It's a horrible idea. It just gets better, right? So now I'm going to be looking for the overload champion. If you're wondering why I'm crying, it's because I'm suffering right now. Because now I have to deal with the overload champion. I can't find him. He just walked away. I don't even know where he is. So I'm trying to think, should I bait him from the middle of the door? Or is he going to be from the far left side? So there was just a lot of questions in my mind of where the Overlord champion's going to be. And I was just waiting for my melee, just in case it just pops out of nowhere and teleports in front of me. If you're wondering, like, why am I standing there for 2 minutes of my life? Well, I need the melee, just in case something goes wrong. And contacting Destiny 2 servers. Oh my goodness. Well, it's been nice knowing you guys. I'm probably going to get kicked out on a solo run again. It's just going to make my day better. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But okay, so spoiler alert, it doesn't happen, but I did get scared. Alright. So right now I'm just trying to look for the Overlord champion. I hear him. But he is just sneaking around. So this is one of the reasons why you must take down the Overlord champions quickly when it does spawn to the middle. This is the punishment. I'm trying to bait him. Where is the Overlord champion? I know he is somewhere in the room. I know he's somewhere in the room. I can sense him. He should be somewhere. So yeah, bad things that can go wrong. So hopefully we'll find him. I'm just trying to see where he is. I know he's outside. He's not going to fool me, this Overlord champion. There he is. I knew it. I knew he was somewhere. I did panic, by the way. Oh, right. I mean, who wouldn't panic? I mean, you see this Overlord champion that can one-shot you, right? So I try to bait this boss or this champion in the tunnel. And the reason why I did that is so I could use my Stasis turret, trap him, and then use my linear fusion rifle. And then if I had, loosen finisher, I could get my heavy bricks. But oh well, can't do that. Sad face. Sad Pikachu face. So once we deal with the Overlord champion, now we're going to do DPS of the boss. So as I said before, the best DPS spot for Osteo is from the right side. I didn't do that method until the last phase, alright? I didn't know if it was going to be a good idea. Because during my few attempts, I was using La Monarch, and then I switched to Osteo on my first go. So I was trying to find a method to poison this boss. I was still at the left side because I was thinking about the Wyverns. Yes, I forgot that I need to spawn kill the Wyverns, which is why I was standing from the left side instead of the right side. So now I am going to be throwing Stasis turrets because I do want to take down the Wyverns. At least one of them. If I can take down one of the Wyverns right away, then it will make life easier. So unfortunately I wasn't able to take down a Wyvern, but I could see the Stasis turret was distracting it a bit. So make sure you take down the Wyverns, try your best, use Osteo, make sure you look from the left side because sometimes the second Wyvern can magically appear there. And of course you have to babysit the baby Hydra. Again, yes, I know it's horrible, but it always happens. So just play Merry-Go Death on this tunnel. And if you can, just use your linear. Now here I got a little reckless. So I was trying to throw a turret, pop a healing drift, and then just going Merry-Go Death and then distracting, well, babysitting the Hydra. Now there is one more Wyvern, which it teleported behind me, so I was super happy that the Wyvern didn't one-shot me. I'm glad I didn't stay in that spot because it could have one-shot me from behind. So that was close, by the way. So now we're going to be dealing with the baby Hydra. And you know what's the best part? Finally, guys. This is going to be the last time we're going to be babysitting this Hydra. I'm fed up of babysitting this guy all the time. He just wants attention all day long. It's just farming. It's farming my attention right now. So this is going to be the last phase of dealing with the Wyverns. I do highly recommend to save for your super. For me, I wanted to save for my super. I'm going to wait for my super. And then I'm going to take down the baby Hydra. Once I save my super, I'm going to be using Osteo. I'm going to poison this Hydra with Osteo. Hopefully, I mean, he's just moving around and around and around. So now I'm going to be throwing my Stasis turret. And now I'm going to be dealing the last Wyverns. So, as I said before, make sure you save your super, just in case something like this happens. You can, if you guys notice, the Wyverns just teleported in front of the tunnel. And they almost one-shot me. So just be super careful dealing with the Wyverns. So now we finally dealt with the Wyverns. Yay! You know, now we're gonna go deal with champions. Oh boy, where do I begin? So I actually was having trouble with the barrier champions because this bow, yes, this bow wasn't as good as I thought it was gonna be, but hey, just let everyone know before someone comments. I don't know how it is on the regular GMs, but on the 1580, it's not. I mean, it's good, but it's not the best. I mean, honestly, I would just put adaptive on the bow for 1580, to be honest, to have an easier time dealing with the barrier champions. That's just me, by the way. Everyone's different. Because these barrier champions are just being a headache when using this bow, the explosive payload. And we'll talk more about that for the boss fight. But for now, we took down one of the barrier champions. 3 more to go. We got the girlfriend on top of the right side. Then we got these 2 psychopathic barrier champions on the ground. So make sure you take down the champions as fast as you can. And it's going to be a nightmare because I am low. I'm getting low on heavy. So finally, I was able to take down the 3rd barrier champion. And then now the girlfriend. Yes, the girlfriend barrier champion is the last one. And let me just tell you that this barrier champion is a scaredy cat. It ran away. Can you believe that? Did you see that? You saw it? It disappeared. It's like, oh, no, I'm going to go with my boyfriend. It disappeared. And you know what's the worst part? I actually had a hard time trying to catch the girlfriend of the boss. You know, the champion girl. The champion that is always clingy with the final boss. For 4 minutes of my life. Yes, 4 minutes of my life. And I was trying to bait him. And to bait him, you just have to move around, see where the bigger champion is, and then eventually he'll go in the middle or from the right side. So that's basically what I did in this video, but I am gonna do a mini time skip here because this champion was being extremely clingy and a nuisance. After spending 3 minutes of my life, I finally was baiting the girlfriend of the boss to move in the middle. Finally. And then when this happens, you just spam the hell of heavy on this clingy champion. You take down this champion, use your super, anything. Take down that horrible, clingy, annoying bear champion. And now we can finally get platinum. What's the best spot to do Osteo? Well, one could be the stairs from the left side, but I didn't do that in this video. Another method, what I did is from the right side. Now, one thing I need to tell everyone is I was trying to penetrate the shield of the boss. And guess what? No, seriously, guess what? For using explosive payload with the bow, it didn't work. I couldn't do any damage with the bow. So that's another problem of using explosive bow for Glassway. I thought they fixed it, but no, they didn't fix it. So then later on, I actually tried the right side method. And guess what? No, seriously, guess what? The bow didn't work. The bow couldn't penetrate the orange shield for the boss at the right side. It went to the point where I just used Osteo. So this is one thing I was a bit worried that the bow wasn't working too well. So because of that, because the explosive bow wasn't working properly, you know, for some reason, I had to just rely on Osteo. You can also use Osteo from the stairs from the far right side, but I didn't do that. If you shoot the body of the boss with explosive payload bow, then it works. But here's the sad thing. I didn't know until I found out 5 seconds before the boss died. Yeah, I know it's sad, but hey, you know, I didn't know because I've been spamming a lot of Monarch this season. And I didn't really use the bow so much this season. So yeah, using Osteo is good for this method, and you can also use a bow, but you had to make sure you use the body shot. Make sure you body shot the boss with the explosive bow if you do want to do DPS with it. That's the only way it seems to work with anti-barrier bow for this season. So we took down the boss and we got platinum. Yay! Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Evil bastards. Until next time.